Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about AFib and the carnivore diet. See, I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, also known as AFib, back in 2018. At that time, I was quite a bit overweight and just wasn't very healthy. I wasn't eating a very healthy diet. I was eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, things I shouldn't have been eating. And, I just didn't have a lot of energy as well. I first got AFib back then in 2018. And the first time the cardiologist said, well, this is something that you're a little young to have, but, it does happen to some people at this age. And over time, it's going to get worse. He said the best thing I could do is lose a little bit of weight, which will help maybe a little bit. But there wasn't really a whole lot you can do for it other than potentially having something called an ablation done if I had started to have, the episodes more often. So I think it was about a year before I had my next episode, and then they started coming more frequently. And the cardiologist again warned me that they would come more frequently and more frequently as time went on. He started talking to me a bit about the possibility of ablation, but so far I would go into an episode and I'd get back out of it on my own. Then, probably late 2019, early 2020, I had an episode that I just could not get out of the AFib. So when you have AFib, your heart is beating and normally, right? And then it just starts going really, really fast. And then it kind of goes more normal again and then goes really, really fast. So your heart rate, let's say your normal heart rate is like around 80 beats per minute, and you might have an AFib episode, and at that point, your normal heart rate might be closer to 100. And then you go into the really fast beats that can be as high as 140, 150 beats per minute, potentially even maybe higher than that. But that's what I was seeing most of the time. And then it would go back down around 100 or so. And then it would go back up to like a 140, 150 for a little bit and so forth. And that's how the AFib episodes work. And so I had to go to the hospital this one time because I just couldn't seem to get out of it. And in the hospital, they give you a beta blocker that's supposed to lower your heart rate. And, they give you an IV to make sure you're hydrated good. And sometimes, drinking water can help you to get out of the episode. And tried all that stuff and nothing was working. Um, they were really afraid with my heart rate going so high. They were afraid to have me getting out of bed. So literally, if I had to go to the bathroom, I had a pan there that I had to use. And then the next morning, I was still in it, and they did the procedure to shock my heart back into rhythm. So for that, they have you go to sleep, right? They give you the whatever it is that they put over your nose to breathe in, and you fall asleep from that. And then when you wake up, you're in recovery. They've already done the shocking and so forth. So they use the paddles to shock your heart back into a normal sinus rhythm. And when that particular time happened, I hadn't been on medication yet, and my cardiologist said you need to go on a blood thinner and a beta blocker for this. There's, the big risk with blood thinner is that when you're in the episode, an AFib episode in your heart, there's an area that can pool up blood, and there's the risk of that clotting and potentially having a stroke. So that's why you go on a blood thinner, so that you don't have that risk of that clotting there when you go into an episode. And the other thing, of course, is with a really high heart rate, you could potentially put yourself into having a stroke or heart attack or something like that too, right? So at that point, they put me on a blood thinner. It was called Eliquis, and I also went on a beta blocker. So that lowered my heart rate a little bit, the beta blocker. I I got to the point in early 2022 where I was having episodes quite often. My cardiologist started talking to me about potentially doing the ablation. The ablation is where they go in and they find spots in your heart where they don't seem to be working electrically properly. And they burn those spots from having the the electronic signals. And that way that those spots can't cause you to go into the irregular heartbeat in the AFib episode. So they started talking to me a little bit about that, and they said that's the only thing really that's going to help this. They said that it might help you for several years, where you won't have an episode after that, or you might still have them, but maybe it won't be as bad, that type of thing. But that's kind of what they told me. That they really said, there wasn't anything that I could do to really not have the episodes, but other than maybe trying to keep from having stress, that kind of thing, because stress on your heart can cause you to go into the episodes. Try and keep your heart rate down, that kind of thing. So at the same time, that is really when I started to find that I wanted to go on the keto diet, that I needed to do something. My health was bad. I needed to lose weight and so forth. So I did a couple months of keto while I was continuing to research carnivore. And then that's when I said, I'm going into carnivore. So at the point that I went to start carnivore, I was still having probably a couple episodes a week. And couple AFib episodes a week, that's a pretty big deal. And I would say within the first month or so, those episodes stopped happening. And I am now at 15 months on carnivore, and I'm about 14 months now without a single AFib episode. The only difference for me has been my diet. I no longer eat sugar, for the most part, carbs. I'll occasionally have a carb, but it's pretty much a carnivore diet with no carbs, but I'm completely stay away from sugar. Seed oils, of course, are big, that I completely stay away from those. Any type of cooking I do is going to be with bacon fat or butter, um, that kind of stuff, right? And that's really the difference. In terms of working out, I could, before carnivore, I could have an episode just by lifting heavier weights for 5 to 10 minutes. I would cause myself to go into AFib. And now I'm lifting heavier weights and I can go 30 minutes or more, and I don't ever go into an episode. I can't stress my heart enough to go into an episode like I used to. So I am completely convinced that it's, the difference is the sugar and the carbs and, you know, just the metabolic disease that's out there. Um, that's the difference for me in my AFib. And I have talked to numerous people that have AFib and have gone to a carnivore diet, and they've had the same thing. Their episodes have gone away. Or in a couple of cases, I've heard people that said, I still have an episode here or there, but I'm also new to the carnivore diet, and it's much better than it was. But anybody I've talked to that's been on the carnivore diet for a while now, like let's say a year, they're several months without having an episode, and they used to have episodes all the time. So it's very interesting to me that, you never seem to hear much about your diet in AFib. They want to say that AFib is a hereditary thing, and like in my case, my father did have it, so I'm sure there is some hereditary aspect to it, but it's probably more that he also ate the standard American diet with carbs and sugar. And if he didn't do that, maybe he wouldn't have had AFib as well. I don't know. Even though it seems to run in the family a bit with a bit of hereditary, if we didn't eat those carbs and the sugar, we may have never experienced AFib, either myself or my father. So, I really do believe that that's the case, that the sugar is a huge part of it. It seems like, sugar and a lot of the bad complex carbs are just destroying people's health. And it's definitely been that way for me. I've gotten so much healthier. I've lost quite a bit of weight. And I know that losing weight helps too with AFib, but I'm probably at the weight I was in late 2017 or early 2018 when I actually developed AFib, which is interesting because, yeah, I had lost a lot of weight back in 2017. And then I started to gain weight back. And then that's when I started having the episodes. But I'm probably now at the weight I was when I first started with getting AFib. Um, and I'm 80 pounds down from where I was 15 months ago with the carnivore diet here. I have lost 80 pounds, but I still have quite a bit to lose, I think. I'd say probably at least 30 to 40 more pounds to lose. And I have not had an AFib episode in over 14 months now. These are my experiences. I can't say that everybody's going to have the same experience, but I'd like to hear from you if you had AFib and went on a carnivore diet and did it improve for you, or just if you have AFib and you aren't on a carnivore diet, maybe this video is going to be helpful for you, and maybe it will make you at least think about either carnivore or a low carb diet and do your own research and see if you think that that diet is going to be a good diet for you. I can tell you that it's definitely helped me a lot. Carnivore seemed to make a big difference, where when I first did keto for the first couple months, I didn't see much of a difference other than I was losing a little bit of weight. But like a lot of the health issues, when I went carnivore and cut out all the sugar and carbs for sure, I really saw a huge difference there. So the last thing with this is that I still am on that blood thinner and beta blocker. And I go back to the cardiologist in a month. The last time I saw him almost 6 months ago, we talked about potentially going off of at least the blood thinner. My heart rate's been really good too, really low, so we could potentially see that as well. But 6 months ago, he did want to see me lose a little more weight, so we'll see where I'm at. I have lost a little bit more weight. I don't know if it's enough that he would want to see, and I'll I'll play it by ear, see what he thinks. Definitely, your health should be a conversation with your doctor, your cardiologist, whatever. And, he could say that he wants me to stay on the blood thinner. And if I felt strongly enough that I shouldn't be, then I could tell him that, I think I'm going to go off it. But I'm not sure that I'm really going to be at that point yet. I see what he says. If he says, let's see in 6 months if you can lose 20 more pounds, then we'll do it. Then I might be like, okay, let's do that. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on how that goes. And, hopefully, again, this video helped somebody out talking about my experiences with AFib. Let me know in the comments if you've had your own experiences with AFib. If you could like this video, if you watched it all the way through here to the end, like it and share it with friends and family, especially if you know people that have AFib. Share it with them so that they can share and learn from my experiences as well.